Hi, this is Sally Morgan and Tristan Corgi for Conversations with a Corgi number 10 on Facebook Live. And we will be continuing today with our discussion of AbaloneTTouches that you can learn to do at home with your own pet or with yourself or your friends. So far, we have talked about the clouded leopard TTouch, the lying leopard TTouch, the raccoon TTouch, and today we'll be focusing on the abalone. All of these touches are similar in that they are a circular motion. But this one, you'll be using your entire hand to make the circle, and you'll have to involve your shoulder, whereas some of the other touches, like the raccoon TTouch that we did yesterday, was just in the very ends of the fingers, and so your finger joints were doing most of the motion. And just a quick review for those who are joining us for the first time. When you do a TTouch circle, you're going to start at the 6 and go around the face of a clock. Imagine it here. Go around the face of a clock, back to the 9. So your circles are all a circle and a quarter. Now when you're doing abalone TTouch and you're using most of your hand to do this work, it's really important to pay attention to the fact that you're making a circle and a quarter. It's so easy to not notice that when you're using your whole arm really to make the circle. And in some cases you might be using just your wrist, but the abalone really is a whole body thing, and when I'm doing it on a horse, you even get some movement in your feet as you're following your hand around that circle and being relaxed in your body to help work with the horse. As with the other touches, we have different pressures between a 1 and a 9 in the amount of pressure we use when we're doing the abalone circle. The abalone circles are something that we'll be doing with animals that are more sensitive and that don't like the more deep touch that seems to come when you use less of your fingers, less of your finger space, really. When you're doing the raccoon, it goes quite deeply, so you need a light touch. The abalone is a whole hand touch. So you might want to use a pressure of like a 3. But the thing is, with an abalone, you're working on a dog or a cat. If you use too much pressure with the whole hand, you'll knock them over, and that is not what you want to do. So it's really important to keep the pressure fairly light, a 2, 3, maybe a 4 on a big animal, a big dog maybe. But you don't want to use too much pressure when you're doing these abalone circles on a dog or a cat. And really, we hardly do these on cats because they are so small and you are using your whole hand. So the abalone it's very much like the lying leopard. In the lying leopard circle, we're using the flat parts of our fingers, the whole ends and a little bit more, and around the base of our palm. The difference between that and what we'll be doing today with the abalone is that we'll be adding this area across your fingers here and down along the side here. For the lying leopard, you're using this part of your hand and the bases of your fingers. So it's very similar, and its uses are similar. When you think about an abalone, as all of the touches are named for an animal that Linda has worked on, the abalone is significant because of what we know the abalones do. They stick with incredible grip to the sides of boats and things. And so you want your hand to be like the suction of an abalone onto the skin of the animal that you're working with. So you have to sink in a little through the hair so that when you're doing this work, you're not sliding over the hair surface, but you're connecting with the skin and moving the skin in a circle. And in some ways, doing a heart hug is pretty similar to doing an abalone circle. Oh, Tristan's falling off his cushion again. The abalone is a very comforting TTouch. People really like it. Dogs really like it. It's a great touch after you've been able to work with the hind end of a fearful dog to be able to bring them comfort in their hindquarters with the whole warmth of your hand. But again, it might be too much initially to do this with a fearful dog on his hindquarters. I like to start with fearful dogs around their shoulder area, which is where that 8th chakra is. That is for their connections to humans, as described by Marguerite Coates, who I mentioned earlier. And that's a nice place to greet an animal, and the abalone touch is not super invasive. If you go to the animal with the back of your hand and say hi, That's a good way to start. And then the abalone touches here can be quite comforting. Are you losing your pillow, honey? There we go. The abalone touch is one that we use when we find that an animal is overly sensitive to touches with the fingertips or with the pads of the fingers. And again, be very wary about sliding over the hair. It's not the same, and it does feel very different to the animal. The abalone is a less invasive type of TTouch, and you're moving a much larger area of skin than you are with some of the smaller touches that we've done, such as the clouded and lying leopard. And you will notice that the abalone is a really good touch to use for someone or an animal that is holding their breath. Because of the size of the circle and the amount of skin you're moving, you're really bringing awareness through the body in a way that encourages a breath. So if you find yourself maybe after seeing, something on the side of the road or an accident or, just a little bit of a shock on the news, an abalone is a really good thing to do for yourself to bring your breath back to that normal relaxed inhale and exhale. And, again, doing a heart hug, which is similar to the abalone, is a good way to do that, to just bring breath back into your body. And, if you're at work or something and you don't want to do that, you can just do it on your thigh. So when you do the abalone, you're going to take all of the flat part of your hand, as I showed you before, and even here is going to make the contact with the animal. I'll show you on the British stuffed corgi first. You're next, Tristan. So his shoulder fits neatly under my hand. So my hand is quite flat. Now, it's going to be hard to see this because my shoulder is not really free here, but you're going to make that circle I'm using here as the 6. Just go around the whole circle through the 6 and back up to the 9. Now, one of the things we often do with abalone, because you're using so much surface of your hand, is what we call a snail's tail, which is to just sort of support the skin as it goes back from the 9 to the 6 of your little clock. So we go around the circle and a quarter to the 9, and then just a little release. And we often do that with an abalone, and you can do it with other touches. Some animals might not like that, and so you don't have to do it. But see, I have to get to the big surfaces of this dog to be able to do this. And see how my fingers aren't really moving? It's coming, the motion is coming from my shoulder all the way down my arm because my whole hand is moving. With lying leopard, your hand is a little more cupped and you're just making that motion in your fingers. Abalone, see how the whole hand moves. And now we'll try some on Tristan. Can you sit up, honey? I know you're having a hard time falling off your pillows again. He's such a slippery thing in the morning. All right, he's a small dog, so it's a little difficult to do abalone on him anyway because he is so little. But I'll try to do a few right here on his side. So the 6 is going to be here on my little clock, and I'm going to go around the clock and back to the 9. And just give a little release. I'm not even letting the skin go back to the 6. I'm just doing a little bit of a release here. And I don't know if you can see that my whole arm is moving all the way up to my shoulder. There's a little bit of movement. And I'm doing these circles at a little more than 2 seconds. Good boy, Tris. So you're going to use maybe a 1 to a 3 pressure with this, possibly, as I said earlier, a 4 on a big muscle dog. And it's a great touch to do if your dog is nervous. I know your leg is falling, honey. If your dog is nervous, if your dog is stressed, if your dog needs relaxation. It's a good touch to increase circulation. I have done this a lot after spay and neuter operations on the hind end of a quiet dog like Tristan, just to bring awareness back to the hind end. Good boy, Bisky. And then the other important thing I find with the abalone circles is that they really help to rebalance the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems. As you might recall, the parasympathetic nervous system is the part of the body that keeps you in the rest, digest, relaxation, peaceful part of your nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the part that's associated with stress, fight, flight, fear, fainting, and other extreme reactions to stress. And if our animals are living in a stressful world in our environment because we are stressed, or we have a lot of stress in our home, or they're stressed because they're not getting along with the other animals in the house, they can become, like we are so often, stuck in that stress response and unable to rebalance to the parasympathetic. Animals are masters at having that balance between the two aspects of the nervous system. You know, a deer needs to be able to run quickly when he's afraid and then stop and graze peacefully so that they can digest properly. So most animals are not as much as humans stuck in that stress response. But if you've got a rescue dog from a shelter, if you've just moved, if you've got a new child in the house, or any number of things that can happen to your animal that can be quite stressful, they may not be able to get back that balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So abalone circles are a great way to help bring that response back into a balance so that the animal can be stressed when they need to run from something and relax when they don't need to. And this is true for humans as well. That's why abalone circles are a great thing to do. When I was at work in a very stressful environment, I would do abalones on myself, or I would take one of my clients and do some abalone circles on his shoulders or his back. I was working in a veterans home for senior men, and so often doing a few abalone circles on my client also helped me relax. And this is one of the other important things that we know about TTouch, that one of the things that's wonderful about it is that it benefits the person doing it as much as the person or animal receiving it. So that's a good thing to remember when you're doing TTouch. And we'll talk more about that at another point. So these are just some nice big abalone circles on Tristan. And you can see he's kind of relaxing, and you might notice the movement in his whole body. I'm using about a 3.5 pressure on him right now, but you can see his head kind of bobbing back and forth as he's relaxing with these abalone circles. Good boy, Bisky. So there you have the lying leopard, the clouded leopard, the raccoon touch, and the abalone touch. We will continue with our TTouch lessons next Monday on Conversations with a Corgi. But tomorrow, Tristan and I are going to the Corgi Beach Party held at, I think it's the Canine Something Center in Auburn, Mass. There's information about it on my Facebook page, Sally Morgan PT CST. And we will be doing a live taping there in the morning. I'm going to try to do it at 9:30, but I might have to do it earlier because there is a trick class that many of the dogs are participating in, and I want to make sure I can participate in that. But I'm really looking forward to meeting a lot of our Corgi friends, and certainly I'm looking forward to the Corgi Bikini Parade. Corgis are not really built with a beach body, so the bikinis are going to be very funny, and Tristan will have a surprise for the Corgi Bikini Parade. And on Sunday, we'll be doing another more spiritual thing, as I like to do that on a Sunday, and it gives us a bit of a chance to reflect on our life with our animals. And another reminder is that my website will be down until April 1st, or maybe a little sooner. We're in the middle of revamping it to make things easier for you to find and to have some of the great products that my sister has available to you so that you can find the dental drops and the wellness vitamins and some other things. I'll be having some flower essences available that I really like, and we'll do a series reviewing each of those and their uses. So I'm really excited to offer a new website, and I will still have my domain name of sallymorganpt.com. So in the meantime, if you try to go to my website, you won't get very far because it's going down today. So you can still contact me on Facebook at Sally Morgan PTCST, and also on craniosacral therapy for animals. And this is Sally Morgan, craniosacral therapist and physical therapist for animals and people, and Tristan Corgi. I'm also the author of the book, Dances of the Heart, Connecting with Animals, which is available on Amazon and at my sister's website, drjudymorgan.com, while my website is being down. It's a little inconvenient, but it will be a much better website in the long run. I've had some trouble with it for a long time, and when I was trying to resolve some of that yesterday, the host said that the website, in fact, was expiring its time with them, and that we could have the opportunity to rebuild it right then and there. So my nephew is working on that when he has done his other work, which goes through next week. It's snowing here in Massachusetts. It's very cold. They're predicting a high tomorrow of 25 for the Corgi Beach Party. I think a lot of people might be wearing a big thick sweater with a lei or a flower in their hair. We're still going to try to go in a summer dress, and Tristan will go in some of his summer beach festive gear, and we'll have a great time either way. So I look forward to bringing you Facebook Live from the Corgi Beach Party tomorrow. And this is Sally Morgan wishing you a happy day, and try to stay warm, especially if you live in New England.